This is our workshop. We live and work here. An incredible number of inventions come to life here, and we try to use them in our performances. I live over there. Yes, I live here, not by myself, but with my little rat. Well, it's a bit of a mess here, of course, but nothing too bad.
Natasha Kurpas was one of the first people in Russia to begin performing poi spinning. This was 7 years ago. Her family lives in China, but Natasha is not willing to leave Russia and calls this Moscow-based workshop at the X Theater her home. The actors at the theater are more than just associates. They are one big family. Many of them graduated from theatrical and circus schools. Others are just enthusiasts who enjoy what they do. There are usually many people in the workshop, and the creative process is ongoing here. People learn from each other and create things together. Most of the props are related to fire, and the actors make them. Even the brightest actor has to be a laborer sometimes. This situation doesn't embarrass anyone, however. On the contrary, it helps them better understand and elaborate on the character of a future performance.
Here we are preparing new props. We'll attach these items to my shoes like this. They'll smoke, and I'll then appear on the stage in a swirl of, say, red smoke.
The initial testing is carried out in the workshop as well. All of the props need to be checked thoroughly. Spectators on the street are meant to see only what is deemed totally safe. A prop shouldn't cause harm, neither to the onlookers nor to the performers.
It's awful to have to sleep here. Frankly, it's because you can hear the water murmuring in this pipe. It's really awful. But it's not the first thing that matters in life. There are other things that do matter. Love, for instance. Once our theatre witnessed the following story. A girl fell in love with a young man, and the young man fell in love with the girl. It resulted in their wedding.
The girl who was in love and overwhelmed by her feelings decided to share them with everyone. She depicted her love story in pictures, on the walls and on the ceiling of Natasha's room. Now, the young couple are expecting a child, and the pictures serve to remind everyone who comes to the theater how far the art can go in uniting people. When Natasha began to spin fire poise 7 years ago, hardly anyone else in Russia practiced the art. Now it's becoming more and more popular. For many, it's first and foremost a way of making new friends who are close in spirit. It may even result in true love.
We just met this way, yeah. I didn't know him beforehand. It turned out his name was Zhenya.
Legend has it that Aborigines from New Zealand were the first to perform the poi dance thousands of years ago. Men did it to develop their coordination, and women to grasp the art of dancing necessary to keep a lover by their side. Now, some people treat the poi dance as a whole philosophy as well.
With the help of the dance, I want to reach my inner harmony. Now people have forgotten as to what a man or woman really means. Many people are trying to understand who they are. It helps me understand what I am supposed to and not supposed to do as a woman.
It's my birthday, and I've decided to have a celebration for me and my mates. I brought them some kerosene, and they spin fire, especially for me. It's gorgeous, completely carries me away. I just don't need any alcohol or drugs. I don't need anything but what you see here.
Roman Frolov is celebrating his birthday in the very center of Moscow. Lovers of fire juggling gather here every Friday. The main emphasis of the event isn't to drink alcohol. Kerosene and water matter here. Kerosene is needed to keep the flames alive, and water to stop people from getting burned. Most of the spectators who go to the Friday performances at Yaoza Square are students. High-quality kerosene isn't cheap and burns quickly. it's always in short supply. This is why the 50 liters of kerosene Roman has brought to mark his birthday is the best present for those joining in with the celebrations. These people burn kerosene the quickest. They just spit it out into the air. People who go to these performances say fire eating is the simplest way to attract the audience's attention. The performers hold some kerosene in their mouths and then spit it out.
There's nothing much special happening inside of me. I just take the kerosene into my mouth. It's tasteless. It's just like having a mouthful of milk.
A rally can't exist without drums. The ancient rhythm inspires both those who play the music and play with fire.
All of us have grown out of rhythm, from the rhythm of the heart or from changing seasons or days into nights. It's a rather natural state. It isn't natural when there's no rhythm.
Once a week, this part of central Moscow is transformed into a mysterious platform for rhythm, fire, and dancing. For many, it is a way of relieving the week's stress, to exchange the rhythm of the metropolis for that of the heart, and to speak a different language through the body.
It seems to me that men just don't understand this, for it belongs strictly to women. Through belly dance and belly vibrations, you can feel the world quite differently. Women feel this, and I'm afraid that I can't really explain it.
Those who go to Yaoza Square have said for a long time that they need more space to accommodate the growing crowds of spectators. It's a good location, but there's still room for improvement. Some split into small groups and juggle with fire outside the city so they can concentrate on the art. Others prefer street theater, where their talents can be united.
Here we go.
The hat, please.
The hat, please. Where's the hat?
You're coming out in the hat, aren't you? Do it again.
Okay, the first one takes me by the arm and goes. I come out with them. The other one sets me on fire.
Hats are Natasha's favorite props. She feels at her most comfortable when wearing them during open-air performances and gets into the necessary mood for the scenario.
Or let's say they stand here and give it a go. Come on.
Everyone here works on their image very carefully. The smallest details have a meaning. The result is a multifaceted performance. In an actor's mind, every image should be clear, not only from the outside, but also from the inside, and loaded with psychology.
Various images constantly take root in me. For example, once, a girl named Rita, a scientific worker, did this. At first, I would often express this image through words, but then I quickly got rid of the words, and gradually, the current image of Rita has developed. It's lyrical and romantic. It's really hard to describe with words.
Lena Semyonova has several academic degrees. Now, she is writing a thesis on clownery serving natural endowments development for her PhD. So even the funniest experiments may become not only an element of a future performance, but also a subject for serious psychological analysis.
Artur, try it. It's cool.
Does it indeed transform into carbonated water?
Indeed. How do you think they carbonate it?
It's mineral water.
Yes, it's exactly ordinary carbonated mineral water, which is the result.
A different vision of ordinary things is one of the X Theatre's trademarks. The actors always try to make their spectators think. Even the musical instruments sound quite different.
So now the suitcase has performed its creaking bang.
Silence. The violin, please.
By the way, as for how I feel at this very moment, if only I could remain burn-free, that's what I feel. That's it. It's impossible to act anymore, just impossible. Over. It's all simple. There's a button and magic strings with an electric current flowing through them. They ignite a special lining stored here inside the violin. It's a type of special cotton wool. It's a well-kept secret. It's a patented invention. It's here and all of this flares up very brightly.
The X Street Theatre is one of the most popular in Moscow. During its 7-year existence, it has built up the reputation of being a brilliant, expressive young team, which has always been engaged in artistic research. Sometimes it holds performances nearly every day, for months on end. There are many props which have to be routinely loaded and unloaded in anticipation of another show. There's contact with the audience, new emotions and feelings. It's also about traveling, which adds to the romanticism of performing in the open air, a must for the creative psyche. This car is more than 20 years old. The Jugglers have used it for touring ever since the X Theatre was founded, and they don't want to change it. They say the car has a soul of its own, that it's a friend, and you don't abandon friends.
The audience is not interested in a fake when you perform on the street. Everything has to be real. Real fire, real water. You can substitute it somehow in a film or in the theatre, but here everything has to be real. Here I am alive, naked as I am, and everybody loves me the way I am. That is why I like it so much. You know, we are like dogs. If you put a dog on the stage, it will outplay all the actors, only because it's real.
This is a glimpse of an X Theatre performance in Germany. The Jugglers have traveled across Europe several times in this old car, staying in different cities and towns and attracting hundreds of people. This particular piece is called Hunting the Fool. For this show, they came up with a huge cart which turns into a living thing during the performance. In the course of their travels, this peculiar character has had more and more pieces added to it. Most of them were found in rubbish dumps in Europe. As the head of the theatre, Yuri Berladin says there's no better place to find new props than dumps. Whatever is thrown away can still be used on the street by breathing new life into otherwise useless items.
This was found at a dump in Germany.
We were trying to understand for a long time what purpose this thing used to serve in Germany.
I think it's something sadomasochistic. It must have been some kind of outfit.
I call it a hugger. It's very handy to hug your dear colleagues with.
Or you can stick some apples and peaches onto it.
The X Theatre has taken part in several theatrical festivals in Europe. The jugglers feel that the atmosphere at these gatherings can only be compared to an exotic location, the taste of which you can't forget for a very long time. What's important is that the people who go to the performances understand each other perfectly, even though they speak different languages. They don't need to translate for the audience either. The ex-actors don't speak much when they act, but if they do, they just make up a language of their own. If one tunes into the audience, it will understand everything, even when nothing is being said. This is one of the acting absolutes. The most expressive language of the X Theatre has always been that of fire. Whatever people pay for the show is the only source of income for the theatre. Everything it earns is shared out equally. The head of the theatre, Yuri Berladin, puts aside the biggest share for petrol and food. Looking at the stores they shop at, you can tell they don't have too much money to spare. But their desire for the arts and to perform in front of people outweighs the difficulties. Those who can't keep up with the rhythm of this vagabond life leave. Some people do return, however, because they miss the people, the adventure, travel, new impressions, and the feeling of freedom which can't be bought, as they put it here.
I think I'm more of a comedian. Not even a comedian, but a cynic. I try to put some color into this life. This life is a little bit too complicated, a little bit too serious. So I want to put some color into it to avoid being depressed. So you start to joke around, and you save yourself from the harsh reality.
Self-irony, the capability to laugh at oneself, is another trait of the X Theatre performers.
My makeup is most sophisticated and brilliant. Just have a look.
The X Theatre accepts anyone as a performer. Once in a while, Yuri Berladin and his colleagues hold casting contests for those who want to demonstrate their skills and eventually join the theatre. They use a very simple practice: internet announcements. Everyone is welcome. This year, the actors decide to hold a contest called The Prince and Princess of Fire.
First of all, you need to get a friendly foot with fire. To play with it, you first need to become friends with it, so that the fire won't burn you, but warm you up instead. Before you become friends, however, you will most likely have burns and scars. Look, there are more of them here.
Playing with fire is becoming increasingly popular in Moscow. People are instinctively drawn to it, and say one can watch fire and flames forever without getting tired. This is why, after spinning poise or fire eating just once, it's very hard not to do it again. In recent years, Moscow has acquired quite a few talented poi juggling masters, but Yuri Berladin and his colleagues aren't that interested in their technical abilities, as they want to see their individuality, natural sense of rhythm, artistry, and open-mindedness. Yuri, who organized the contest, has worked as a choreographer with many professional actors at drama theaters, both in Russia and abroad. He teaches theatrical fencing and acting techniques at theatrical higher schools in Moscow. But he likes street theater most of all.
The most beautiful street theater is when performers are not manufactured somewhere, but when it is life that makes them act on the street. It is those that have the need to dance in front of other people, the desire to perform. This type of street theater is what I think is the most harmonious, when it doesn't come from your intellect, but from the heart. And now let's welcome the Prince and Princess of 2006. Give them a hand.
Today's winners are Karen Ferdejulian and Nastya Liman. After winning, Nastya received an invitation to study with the renowned fire queen, Natasha Kurpas, at the X Theater. Karen, who is only 18, has decided to concentrate on creating a fire team of his own, so as to perfect the art of communicating with fire.
There were about 150 to 200 people here. It would be nice if there were many more of us next time. And it would be nice if such contests were held more often, because they're great.
And take a look at how tall he is.
Oh, yes, indeed. And she's so small.
Aren't we a harmonious couple?